The unexpected encounter. The sterile white corridors of the Galactic Medical Research Center hummed with an eerie silence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood out like a beacon of warmth amid the cold, metallic environment. Her dark brown skin contrasted sharply with the pale blue uniforms of the alien medical staff, her brown eyes scanning the complex diagnostic equipment with a mixture of curiosity and professional intensity. It was her first rotation as a human liaison at the Interspecies Medical Facility, a groundbreaking collaboration between Earth's medical corps and the Zalarian Confederation. The facility orbited a neutron star, strategically positioned to serve multiple alien species across 3 star systems. Preliminary scans complete, chirped a robotic assistant, its crystalline voice echoing through the observation deck. Elena checked the holographic display, her fingers dancing across the translucent interface. Something caught her eye, an anomaly in the metabolic readings of a critical patient. The patient was a veteran draconian warrior, a species known for their incredible regenerative capabilities and notoriously complex physiological structures. Most human doctors found draconian biology a nightmare of contradictions. Their metabolism could shift between states that would kill any other known species. This particular patient, identified as Commander Krasnar, had been brought in after a catastrophic ship incident. His massive reptilian form was connected to a web of life support systems, each tube and cable a testament to the complexity of interspecies medical care. Elena leaned closer, her medical training kicking into overdrive. The metabolic readings didn't make sense. A standard approach would fail, but she saw a pattern, a subtle rhythm that most would miss. Dr. Rodriguez, called a Zalarian medical administrator, its tentacle-like appendages gesturing impatiently, the standard protocol has been prepared for Commander Krasnar. She turned, her stance confident. Those protocols won't work. The commander's cellular regeneration is following an asymmetrical pattern. If we proceed with the standard treatment, we'll cause more harm than good. The Zalarian administrator's translucent skin rippled with what seemed like annoyance. Interspecies medical protocols were rigid, developed over centuries of careful study. A junior human doctor suggesting a deviation was unprecedented. "Explain," the administrator demanded, its universal translator rendering the command in a flat, emotionless tone. Elena pulled up a complex holographic model, her fingers tracing intricate cellular pathways. "See these quantum-level fluctuations? They're not random. They're a response mechanism. The commander's body is actively resisting standard stabilization attempts." The room fell silent. Junior Zalarian medical technicians exchanged glances. Challenging established medical doctrine was not just unusual, it was considered almost blasphemous in their culture. But Elena Rodriguez was not one to back down. Her years of training at the Integrated Xenobiological Medical Academy had prepared her for exactly these moments. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, but they brought something unique, an adaptability that transcended traditional scientific boundaries. "I need 3 hours," she said firmly. 3 hours to develop a custom approach. The administrator's tentacles wavered. Protocol demanded rejection. But something in Elena's unwavering gaze, a combination of scientific confidence and human determination, gave the alien pause. Little did anyone know that this moment would become a turning point in interstellar medical history. A human doctor, armed with nothing more than keen observation and an unconventional approach, was about to challenge everything the Zalarian medical establishment believed they knew about life, healing, and the boundaries of medical science. The next 3 hours would change everything. Cultural clash and professional integrity. The next 3 hours became a crucible of innovation and tension. Elena Rodriguez worked with a precision that bordered on obsession, her workspace a whirlwind of holographic projections and experimental medical algorithms. Around her, Zalarian technicians watched with a mixture of skepticism and growing intrigue. Her approach was unlike anything they had seen before, where Zalarian medicine relied on established quantum cellular protocols. Elena was creating a dynamic, adaptive treatment model. She drew from her diverse training: traditional earth medicine, quantum biochemistry, and experimental xenobiological techniques. "You're breaking every known medical guideline," muttered Dr. Excelnar, the senior Xylarian medical researcher. His translucent form shimmered with disapproval, tentacles folding in a gesture of professional contempt. Elena didn't even look up. "Guidelines are just suggestions when they don't work," she replied, her fingers dancing across a complex molecular reconstruction interface. Her mind raced back to her training at the Integrated Xenobiological Medical Academy. They had always emphasized one crucial principle: adaptation is survival. Humans might be newcomers to the galactic medical community, but they brought something unique: an ability to think beyond established frameworks. The draconian patient, Commander Krasnar, represented more than just a medical challenge. He was a living puzzle, his biological systems so complex that they defied traditional understanding. Each cellular scan revealed new layers of complexity, quantum entanglements that shifted and reformed faster than most medical systems could track. "I need a quantum resonance modulator," Elena announced suddenly, turning to the stunned Xylarian technicians. They exchanged confused glances. Such a device wasn't part of their standard medical toolkit. Dr. Excelnar stepped forward, his form rippling with institutional authority. "That is not a standard procedure. The Medical Confederation will never approve such an experimental approach." Elena's response was calm but firm. "Then the Medical Confederation will lose a valuable warrior. Look at these cellular degradation patterns." She projected a holographic model that made the Xylarian researchers lean in. It was a mesmerizing dance of molecular interactions, each movement revealing the delicate balance between life and cellular collapse. The tension in the room was palpable. This was more than a medical procedure. It was a clash of scientific philosophies. The rigid, conservative Xylarian approach versus human adaptability and innovative thinking. "You're risking everything," Dr. Excelnar warned. "A single mistake could result in your permanent removal from the interstellar medical program." Elena met his gaze without flinching. "Some risks are worth taking." As the hours ticked by, something extraordinary began to happen. The experimental treatment started showing results that defied all existing medical models. Commander Krasnar's cellular structure began to stabilize in ways that seemed impossible. The Xylarian technicians watched in stunned silence. Their most advanced medical algorithms had failed where this human doctor's unconventional approach was succeeding. Just as Elena was making a critical adjustment to the treatment, the facility's communication system blared to life. An official from the Galactic Medical Confederation was requesting an immediate review of the ongoing procedure. The stakes had just been raised. Elena Rodriguez stood at the precipice of a medical breakthrough, or a career-ending disaster. Her next move would determine not just her future, but potentially the future of interspecies medical cooperation. Investigation and revelation. The hearing room was a sterile amphitheater of galactic bureaucracy. Holographic panels lined the walls, displaying medical data, procedural logs, and the intricate details of Dr. Elena Rodriguez's controversial treatment. Representatives from the Galactic Medical Confederation filled the tiered seating, a diverse assembly of alien species, each with their own complex biological imperatives and institutional pride. At the center, Elena stood alone. No legal representation, no support team, just her and the mountain of evidence she had meticulously collected. Dr. Excelnar presented the initial complaint. Dr. Rodriguez deliberately violated 17 standard medical protocols, he proclaimed, his translucent form shifting with righteous indignation. Her experimental procedure on the draconian warrior Commander Krasnar was not only unauthorized but potentially catastrophic. Elena remained calm. She knew this was about more than just one medical procedure. The primary investigator, a silicon-based lifeform named Arbiter Krell, adjusted its crystalline interface. "Doctor, you realize the implications of your actions, the potential risks to an entire species' medical understanding." Respectfully, Elena responded, "The real risk is in refusing to evolve." She began her presentation. Holographic displays erupted around her, showing detailed molecular reconstructions, quantum cellular interactions, and the progressive healing of Commander Krasnar. Each visualization told a story of breakthrough, of understanding beyond established medical dogma. What emerged during the investigation was far more complex than a simple procedural violation. The treatment Elena had developed wasn't just successful for the Draconian warrior. Preliminary analysis suggested it could have broader applications across multiple species. Hidden within the molecular data was a revelation. The Xylarian medical establishment had been aware of certain cellular limitations for centuries, but had never found a way to overcome them. Elena's approach didn't just work around these limitations, it fundamentally reimagined them. "Do you understand what you've actually discovered?" Arbiter Krell asked, its crystalline structure pulsing with a rare display of emotion. Elena explained how her treatment wasn't just about healing Commander Krasnar. It was a new paradigm of understanding biological adaptation. The quantum resonance modulator she had improvised created a dynamic healing environment that could potentially revolutionize interspecies medical treatments. The room fell silent. Commander Krasnar himself had been brought to the hearing. The massive Draconian warrior, previously on the brink of cellular collapse, now stood as living proof of Elena's approach. His presence was more powerful than any verbal argument. Dr. Xelnar's initial confidence began to crumble. What had started as a disciplinary hearing was transforming into something else entirely, an examination of medical innovation itself. "This goes beyond a single procedure," Arbiter Krell announced. "This is about the future of medical understanding." The investigation had uncovered something the Galactic Medical Confederation had long ignored: the unique human capacity for radical problem-solving. Where established protocols saw boundaries, humans saw opportunities. As the hearing progressed, Elena realized this was about more than her career. This was about challenging an entire system of medical thought that had remained unchanged for generations. The next few hours would determine not just her professional fate, but potentially the future of interstellar medical science. Confrontation and challenge. The aftermath of the hearing was anything but quiet. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a galactic storm, her medical breakthrough transforming from a potential career-ending mistake to a pivotal moment in interspecies medical research. Commander Krasnar had become an unexpected ally. The Draconian warrior, once on the brink of cellular collapse, now stood as a living testament to human medical innovation. His species, known for their warrior culture and deep respect for strategic thinking, saw something in Elena that went beyond medical procedure. They recognized a kindred spirit of adaptation and survival. "Your approach is not just medical," Krasnar told her during a private meeting. "It is a form of combat against limitation itself." The Galactic Medical Confederation was in chaos. The hearing had exposed deep fractures in their long-established medical protocols. What Elena had done was more than break rules. She had demonstrated a fundamental flaw in how interspecies medical treatment had been conceptualized for centuries. Dr. Xelnar, once her most vocal critic, now found himself in an unprecedented position. The data was irrefutable. Elena's treatment had not only saved Commander Krasnar, but had opened up entirely new avenues of medical research. A special research team was assembled, with Elena at its core. But this was no simple academic exercise. The timing was critical. Reports were flooding in about a mysterious cellular degradation affecting multiple species along the galactic rim, a medical crisis that existing protocols seemed powerless to address. "We need a comprehensive approach," Elena explained to the assembled team of alien researchers. Her holographic display showed intricate molecular models that seemed to dance and shift with a life of their own. "Traditional treatments look at symptoms. We need to understand the underlying quantum adaptive mechanisms." The research facility became a crucible of innovation. Human creativity met alien technological sophistication. Elena's team included researchers from 7 different species, each bringing their unique perspective. But at the center was a distinctly human approach, a willingness to challenge everything. Their first major test came unexpectedly. a diplomatic ship arrived with a critical medical emergency. A delegation of Nebulon diplomats had been exposed to a cellular destabilization agent during a border dispute. Conventional treatments had failed spectacularly. "This is our moment," Elena told her team. The stakes were impossibly high. A failed treatment could spark an interstellar diplomatic incident. The next 72 hours became a marathon of scientific innovation. Elena's team worked in shifts, pushing the boundaries of medical understanding. They weren't just treating a disease, they were rewriting the fundamental understanding of cellular adaptation. Commander Krasnar observed the proceedings, his massive form a silent sentinel of support. The draconian warrior had become more than a patient. He was now a bridge between human innovation and galactic medical understanding. As the final treatment protocols were developed, something extraordinary happened. The Nebulon diplomats not only stabilized but showed signs of enhanced cellular resilience, a side effect that no one had anticipated. The galactic medical community watched in stunned silence. What had begun as a controversial medical procedure was now transforming into a revolution of scientific thought. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of this storm, knowing that everything was about to change. The next step would determine not just her future, but potentially the future of medical science across multiple species. Resolution and transformation. The Galactic Medical Summit was unlike any conference in recorded history. Representatives from over 127 different species gathered in a massive orbital complex, their attention focused on a single presenter, Dr. Elena Rodriguez. What had begun as a controversial medical procedure had transformed into a paradigm-shifting approach to interspecies healthcare. Elena stood before the assembled delegates, her presentation a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. Commander Krasnar sat in the front row, his massive draconian form a silent endorsement of her work. Behind him, a delegation of Nebulon diplomats, fully recovered and enhanced by the groundbreaking treatment, watched with keen interest. "Our traditional understanding of medical treatment has been fundamentally limited," Elena began. Her holographic displays showed intricate molecular interactions that seemed to breathe and move. "We've been treating symptoms when we should have been understanding adaptive mechanisms." The summit hall was a microcosm of galactic diversity. Crystalline beings from methane worlds sat alongside silicon-based life forms. Gaseous entities shared space with liquid-state intelligences. Each species had its own medical challenges, its own biological complexities. Dr. Xelenar, once her harshest critic, now stood as a key supporter. The Zellarian researcher had become a vocal advocate for the new approach, recognizing that scientific progress demands challenging existing paradigms. Elena's research had revealed something profound. The quantum adaptive treatment wasn't just a medical breakthrough. It was a new way of understanding life itself. The approach could potentially address cellular degradation across multiple species, offering hope for worlds facing previously untreatable medical challenges. "Adaptation is survival," Elena explained. "And survival requires the courage to reimagine what we believe is possible." The political implications were enormous. The medical breakthrough had become a diplomatic bridge. Species that had been in centuries-long conflicts found themselves united by a common medical approach. The treatment developed for Commander Krasnar had shown potential applications across genetic structures that were previously thought incompatible. A representative from the Galactic Diplomatic Corps approached Elena after her presentation. "What you've done goes beyond medicine," the diplomat said. "You've created a new language of cooperation." Commander Krasnar joined her, his warrior stance now softened by respect. "Your people have a gift," he told her. "You see possibilities where others see boundaries." The summit concluded with an unprecedented resolution. A new interspecies medical research initiative would be formed, with Elena Rodriguez at its head. Humans, once considered newcomers to the galactic stage, were now recognized as critical innovators. But for Elena, the true victory was something more personal. It was about challenging limitations, about proving that innovation knows no biological or cultural boundaries. As she looked out at the assembled delegates, a sea of diverse life forms united by a single breakthrough, she understood that this was more than a medical achievement. This was a moment of collective evolution. The stars outside the orbital complex seemed to shine a little brighter. Humanity had just changed the course of galactic medical science, and nobody saw it coming.